Time to code, time to code, time to code, time to code. Alright. Let me fix the lighting. So if you don't have warm lighting, it can make the whole mood seem wrong. I think that oh, that's a noisy chair I've got, isn't it? Anyways, hi. I'm Eric, here to write code for my game, Godkiller. It's in Unity, and I am continuing on a quest to serialize data within the game. I want it to be serialized for different reasons I went into in really nice detail, I think, at the beginning of the previous stream. So I'll just say, summing up kind of quick, there's some data I want to get into a serialized form, and it's currently in different members of a complicated set of classes and structs and variables, and instead I want all that data in that hierarchical structure to be put into a contiguous form so that it can be stored on disk. And that will serve my purpose as well. Now, yesterday I had kind of a slightly demoralizing session. I think if I was just coding on my own, it wouldn't have bothered me in the slightest. But it felt like I had a good momentum at the beginning, and even though nobody was listening, I just felt like I was putting on a little bit of a show, and I wanted to satisfy this imaginary audience that might be looking at me and thinking, wow, this guy's cool. He can write code. He can do things. And I know I still can. The thing that I got stuck on was kind of the mechanics of serializing a dictionary. And then I thought, well, let me make sure that it really doesn't work. And I kind of got stuck on the next part, which was checking two dictionaries against each other. And that drew into question some of my fundamentals. So I kind of went back to the drawing board just a tiny bit on my lunch break at work. Read a few things. And let me pull them in. First thing is I've got a couple of dictionaries. I just want to be able to tell, is one dictionary the same as the other one? I found a little bit of code here. It looks like it would probably do the job. I'm going to paste it into my test util and kind of evaluate it inside of there, and maybe change the code a little bit to see if I can make it more my own. So yeah, let me switch over to that. I realize I've been talking about stuff on the screen and not showing the screen. So here we go. Back over to the code. I guarantee in this session I'm going to serialize something. It might be an int. It might be like a string value, but something. Something will get serialized. I promise that. Okay, so my test util. Test util is a set of functions that I use inside of my unit tests. And I'm proposing here to add a new one that checks two dictionaries for equality. This is ripped out of a Stack Overflow question. And I can pretend that I wrote it just by reformatting the code. And no, but I do truly want to understand it. Whatever I copy and paste into my project needs to be well understood by me before I'm willing to let it remain there. Alright, so what has he got going? Let me give credit to whoever it is. This is coming from Andre. There we go. I just gave proper credit to Andre. Okay, so I'm passing in a very specific dictionary It's a dictionary where the key is a string and you have a list int. Okay, so that already won't work for me, and I can see it would have been naive for me to expect for there to be like a generic, not generic, a dictionary comparison function that would work for everything, because the dictionary is a generic type and it gets declared with a type passed in for the key, which in this case is a string, another type for the value. And my dictionary is a different kind of dictionary than this. It's not a string list int dictionary. It is a it is a int key it is an int key layer value dictionary. So it makes me think, like, okay, maybe this just to get moving, I don't want to create like a general purpose dictionary comparison thing just yet. I'll take it out of here and I'll put it in to my other class, which is specific to testing layer set. That is layer set test. I'm thinking I'll put it in here as a utility class because it's going to be recoded to have its own specificity. It will be recoded to work with int and layer set test layer. Now it's going to complain because layer is a private class. And now this makes me think maybe this should go off in layer set. I already have an equality check public method there, so maybe I'm better off to put it inside of there. Okay. Maybe I just get it working and then I'd refactor everything to where it belongs. Maybe that's what I do. A lot to be said for just getting things to work. Alright. So I already had a junk drawer section down under here where I was considering different things. I'm going to take that out. Drop this in. Lots of ugly syntax errors lighting up. That's fine. That's all fine. When it's just too overwhelming, I can always just comment out some of it and just narrow down what the issue is. So let's see. Take the equals. Okay. Okay, I was halfway done typing this stuff. So let's change this to God, that's a mess. Okay, let's just clean that up a tiny bit. Okay. Alright, so this is going to be return dict equals against layers and layers. So these are both those dictionaries, those specific types of dictionaries that have an int as a key and a layer as a value. Okay, so now it's complaining dict equals is not defined. That's fine. We're going to make sure it's defined. No problem. So this is probably like this might be the actual function that we end up with here. Let's go back up to dict equals. Now dict equals needs to be brought back in. I need to Fix that little lack of parity. Okay. And now I can just do layer, because layer is defined as a private type within, or a private class here inside of this class that I'm in, which is layer set. And I'll start adding my arbitrary changes that don't really matter. Okay. So this will make sense. If the two dictionaries have an unequal count of entries in them, we just return false right away. All right. So then, what is it? What is this? What is Andre doing next? He's saying, if all the keys. Okay, he's saying for each. This is going to need another using declaration. Is it link? Is that what it was? It's one thing I always would be nice when people are posting little snippets in Stack Overflows if they just add the usings in too. But okay, somebody put this up here. I'm just guessing that's right. I'm guessing that's it. I could be wrong. Yeah, so that was it. Okay, so now I need to educate myself, because I am not going to allow code I don't understand to be present. And this list equals is moot. It's going to be something else, since my value is not a list at all. It is a layer. So I'm going to continue this new pattern that I started of defining an equals for each thing that I need to check against. So I'll say D1, and it won't be defined, or it'll be defined, but I haven't overridden it yet, so I can expect it to give me results that I don't trust. But it's still what it's going to maybe finally be when this is all working. So here it said, and I can imply what all does. So because there's something very similar in JavaScript, I can see that we have a collection here of keys, and I'm pretty certain that all is going to say that for each key we're going to set the k variable to be equal to that key, and we're going to make sure that D2 contains that key as well, and we're going to make sure that the D1 value equals D2. Wait, no, that's not right. That's not right. I'm off here. So, okay. So, but I think I am right that this is going to just simply call in a loop for each key, and k will be the key value. But I do think that this here is probably not right. So I think when I took out that D1k, that was my mistake. Because if I called that as it was, I would just be comparing the same dictionary again recursively, and yeah, that would probably crash things. But here I'm seeing. Okay, so I had one thought that maybe it's necessary to also check that D1 contains the key, but here's a reason why you don't have to check, because above here Andre has verified that the count is the same, and also it's a property of dictionaries that the keys must be unique. So if you think about it logically, if D1 has the same count as D2, then it will be true that if D2 contains the same key, okay, am I creating a fallacy here? Okay, yeah, okay. So we're iterating through all the keys in D1. So if D2 contains a D1 key, that means that the converse must be true, because we've also checked that the count is true, or the count is equal of the dictionaries, and it's a property of dictionaries that keys must be unique. So I'm satisfied that I understand this dict equals. I'm not satisfied with the name of it. I'm going to call it because it's not general to dictionaries. It's specific to this particular struct. So I'm going to call it layers equals, which is my kind of internal shorthand for a dictionary containing layers. I'm just going to call it layers. Don't need to call it layers dict or anything like that. All right. So I feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty good. And I feel like the original test that I was kind of flailing and failing, epic flail, I feel like it might either succeed in the very trivial case that I started to give it, which I'll return to, or it would fail meaningfully. So let's try it. Let's build this baby. Build it. It's building. It's building. It's doing some building. Alright. Okay, then part 2. Go over to Unity. Go to the test runner inside of Unity. And I don't have to run the whole project. I just have to run the test. And I have to make sure that it's updated here. I really wish I had a better way to... There it is. See, there's the spinner that comes late, and if I miss that, if I hit the test run too early, it will unexpectedly run the old code and not the new. Okay, now I got it in the debugger. Debugger is where I go when I just really want to understand what's really going on. Alright, so we get our against layer set. Is it populated as expected? Should be good. Good. We got calls 1, rows 1. Okay. So now it's going to say if columns and rows don't match, return false. But I believe they do. I believe calls is 1. I believe rows is 1. I think it's going to succeed. On to the next. Layers equals. New code. Okay. Layers equals. Is the count the same? Wait. What happened? What happened? Did I just miss it? Did I miss it? Kind of not understanding what happened there. Sometimes the debugger, it doesn't step where I think it's going to step, but let's see. Let's see what it did. What result did it return? So it looks like it completed. Let's see. Okay. So basically what happened is it was successful. And I got the best possible result that I could hope for. And also, I'm not hurting with this code here. I was thinking for a little bit that I was going to write some general purpose dictionary comparer thing. The trouble with that is I'd have to use generics and make a generic definition, which kind of breaks the idea of using a static class, which was what my test util was. It would have been a sweater thread, but here all I've got is this really pretty simple just private function inside of my code here. It's not a lot of code here. I'm satisfied with it. It's fine. It is technically code that's only used for test right now, but it's not bothering me a lot. It's a small amount of code. Who knows? I might have legitimate use for this equals thing later on. So I'm keeping it. I'm not worrying about refactoring it. Okay, so moving on. What would I expect to happen if there were some layers in this layer set? I don't think equals would work right because it hasn't been overridden yet in the layer class. So when I look at the layer class, I see this multi-dimensional array of piece classes, or piece instances, I should say, because inside of this array there'll be a number of instances of the piece class. The idea that it would be able to compare all those, that's wrong, because they would all be stored as a reference, and the comparison wouldn't work there. It would do a shallow comparison. It would check. I'm saying this. I'm asserting this very confidently. If someone's learning all this stuff and they're learning it from my assertions, it might be a bad move. If somebody already knows this stuff and they're listening to me say things that are wrong, it might be very entertaining for them, and that's a service I think I can provide. But my assertion is that we need a deep comparison in this layer, and also for the serialization, keep in mind this is only just for the test to prove whether or not the serialization was successful. The serialization we need for the layer and like a number of things that are inside of here to be properly serializable as well. So I'm going to start by proving that I'm right and that the serialization is not sufficient. I'm doing that with a proper test-driven development. So I'm going to start with the next test case. This one above is a proper test, and it is passing. Okay, so now I want to serialize with data. So layer set, what is the public contract we have on it that would actually set things? So here's where I want to populate layer set with some actual data. How does that work with layer set? Let's go to layer set. Let's clear out this. Oh man. Layer set overrides object equals but does not override object get hash code. Yeah, I've seen that before. So I think the notion behind that is that you should implement both to avoid problems, because there might be some code someplace that expects equals to be implemented and the get hash code to be implemented correctly along with it. Now I've got, oh, am I hung? I don't like that. I don't like that, because what did I do? This is the thing that bothers me. If I actually try to do something ambitious, then I don't mind when things hang and it fails. But when all I'm doing is switching between different windows of my IDE to make edits to different files and it hangs, I guess I should be charitable. It was running the debugger, so right after I hit save, I think it probably attempted to make a new build right then. But even then, so brittle. And it's not like I'm running anything tricky here. This is the stock installed Visual Studio right when you install Unity. And when I did the upgrade, the recommended upgrade that happens right after you use it for the first time, the last 2 times I ran that upgrade, it created an error that made the IDE unusable. So such a brittle, fragile piece of crap. I'm sorry if anybody on the Visual Studio Unity integration team is listening to this. Shame. No, I'm gonna take that back. It's probably not the engineer's fault. Everybody heaps on the engineers. It's probably not the tester's fault. Testers probably know about the bugs. They probably filed them. It's probably not even the product manager's fault. The product manager probably made a really strong case to fix all these bugs. There's probably somebody right up above that product manager. Somebody, a director, a CTO, a PMO, there's somebody that's not prioritizing things right. So before you add some new shit into Visual Studio, go back and fix the old shit. That's all I'm saying. Fix it. And I will in a little while, because you might have heard me, you might have heard this rant right here, I will try out your latest version, but I'm going to warn you, when I try out that latest version, if it fucks up again on me, I don't even know if I might like bite the bullet and find like a whole different IDE than Visual Studio, even though it's the recommended one to use with Unity. I gotta go find something else. I'll go find something else. Because look, this is slowing my shit down. Come on. This is basic bread and butter here. Alright, end of the rant. You spend all your time ranting, you get no useful work done. In fact, I would say rants absolutely not helpful to anything. Force quit. Force quit. Force quit, force quit. Shame. Someone should be ashamed. At least 5 people should be ashamed. Okay. Let us attempt to reopen it. I think we can do that. I think things haven't degraded to the point where we can't just reopen this baby. And by the way, if it's a dangerous thing for me to save while the debugger is running, you know what you could do? Visual Studio Community Dev Team, you could stop the debugger automatically. You could admit that you're not up to it, that you're not up to running the debugger while someone is saving. You could be humble. You could just stop the debugger, and then the person could finish their save, and then they could restart the debugger, and that would be a better situation than you making me force quit your app. So, okay, I think I'm done ranting, but it's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. I think I've wasted. An autosave. Now that I have to commend you for. That I'm reasonably satisfied with. I'm mollified, maybe. No, I'm not mollified. It mitigates it. Is that the word I want? It makes you look 22% less crappy. Okay. Serialize with data. And see, and you did redeem yourself just like 22% here. I have what I had when before the crash. Okay. So I'm going to hit save again. Because when you have an autosave, you want to hit save again to make it official. Make it be the real thing. Okay. All that to get back to where I was. But I could have gone by a lot faster if I didn't feel the need to rant, but that's just me. Okay, so layer set. I want to set the contents of a square, and I know that I have one column and one row. The height I can set to anything I want. This is the beauty of that dictionary. It didn't have to be set to any. It wasn't like an array of acceptable heights. It's a dictionary that's going to store per height you pick. Okay, and then have to store a piece in the square. So this is just picture. Here's what the layer set is. Inside of a board, just think of it like a 3D chess. Okay, it's like a 3D chess board. You can put pieces at calls and rows. You can also put them at heights. So the layer set is the part within the board class which allows that storage. So this is what I'm doing. I'm saying I'm going to put a piece at column 0, row 0, height 50, because it's a nice 3D board. And the piece can be null. Let's start with that. That's an easier test, because I don't need to do anything special with piece yet. Okay. So now I have that layer set. I'm going to serialize it. I'm going to deserialize it to layer set 2 again. And this part of my test, it doesn't change. That's kind of a nice thing. I'm going to check equality of layer set and layer set 2. Basically, very similar to the previous test, except I just added like this little bit here. I'm not going to copy across the byte check. I just don't think that's that helpful. All right. Build it all. It's 6:20. That's not bad. Start debugging. I bet I only wasted 7 minutes with that rant. Okay, I got the debugger going. Going back to Unity. The question is if the test runner picks up the same. That's interesting. So there's this extra set. Okay, no, that was correct. That was correct. Okay. So let's run it. Okay. Got the layer set. Confident set works. Confident bytes works. Oh, I was overconfident. But that's good. This is a useful failure. So let's see what Unity complained about. So amazingly brittle. Okay, no, if I hit play, no, I'm sorry, I owe Unity an apology. Hit play, then I go back. I had it paused. Okay, so let's see, type Godkiller layer set plus layer is not serializable. Is that what you're going to say? It's not marked as serializable. That's all good. That's all good. So we go back to the layer set. I say this is serializable. We're pretty soon going to get to a point where I may have to think again about what's next. Now, I kind of expect it to serialize successfully, but not copy across the squares. That's my current prediction. I make predictions all the time, not because I'm trying to impress you so much. It keeps my brain awake. It makes me think, what do I expect to happen? It's science. You're making a hypothesis and you're running tests and you're seeing what reality actually is. But I mean that's the intellectual structure of it. But the psychological structure of it, or the psychological benefit, is that it keeps you awake. Okay, let's run it. Okay, so I expect it to serialize. I didn't will it to serialize. I just said I expect it. That doesn't cause it to actually happen. It looks like it failed again. But even now I'm wondering, did it just run the old code like it has done so many times before? That built. I know that built. Okay, run it again. Because by this time it's definitely updated that code. Oh, okay. No. It's actually, it did run the new code. I've got a new message. Now it says piece is not serializable. And that's cool. Yeah, we're getting down to it. So, uh, let's go to piece. Make piece serializable. Uh, this is the part where it's getting. Yeah, I feel like I'm about ready to run up on a fresh piece of ignorance, but I haven't quite got there yet. So far it still makes sense to me. Pieces. I have so many pieces. I'm proud of my pieces. More than a chessboard. Piece. Man, is it something dramatic to mark this as serializable? Is it correct to mark? I mean, it's an abstract class. It's an abstract class. So an abstract class means at least one of its methods is not implemented. It must be defined in a child class or a derived class. So this is an area of ignorance. Does it matter that it's an abstract class? I can keep with the test-driven philosophy and just keep testing and wait for things to not work. That would be one way to do it. Another way is I can go and research upon what can and can't be serializable. It feels like the correct thing to do. But right now, I'm sticking to my test-driven thing. So I marked as serializable. You know when you know it's getting stupid is when there's like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 things that all kind of fail and you're just trying different things, trial and error, to make it work in your test. And then it's too much guessing, right? But it kind of depends how close I am. So I just hit that. Let's build. Okay, it's building. At some point, I really should look into optimizing this whole build and retest cycle, because it adds up. The time really adds up. One could say that during this time, I'm thinking about things. See, I didn't see the spinning. I think I'm still waiting for the spinny. Maybe it's faster now. Maybe I don't need to. That's a thing that I don't like, is not knowing whether I'm running the right thing. Okay. Now my confidence is shook. The question is, will it serialize? I'm less confident than I was. I'm going to say I think there's a 30% chance it will. So it did, or at least it did something. It may not have captured everything that I wanted it to. Will it deserialize? I believe it will. Usually when something serializes, it is successful deserializing. I've not yet encountered a case where that wasn't true. Okay, so now I would just want to eyeball these two things and see what they look like. So here I've got my original one. I've got layers count equals 1. And if I go into the layer, the key is 50. That's the height that I stored, that I set the piece at. And then thankfully this isn't a very large array. It's got 0, 0, 0. So that's what I originally set before it was serialized. Now this is the Jeff Goldblum that was cloned and reconstituted. Oops. And is it a half man, half fly, or is it all Jeff Goldblum? Key 50, that's good. Value, there's the layer. Squares, 1, 1, excellent. Let's check the value. It's null. I think this is going to succeed. So the only thing that's left to check here, like I've eyeballed it and I see successful serialization and deserialization. So the only thing to check here is does like this new fangled layers equal thing correctly make a comparison. So calls and rows will be equal. Layers equals, I think D1 count equals D2 count. This is, I'm not, because I've got all in one line, it's kind of hard to step through it. It's just gonna, it's just basically it's gonna return true or false at this point. So nothing really to check in there. By the way, I don't normally step through every single thing, but because the serialization is kind of new to me, and I want to like not have a fog of ignorance enshrouded over it all, I'm doing a lot more stepping through code in the debugger, and hopefully that's okay with you. It does make for a lot of time going by with not much being accomplished, but learning. So let's see. I think it's true. I think it's true. So it hasn't thrown an exception. Down underneath here, it's gonna show a little thing. No, I'm wrong. Okay, let's go over to Unity. Oh, there it is. There it is. The little bouncy icon thing, which means it's done running the test. Okay. Oh. And then hit the. Okay, maybe it did throw an exception. Let's see. It threw an exception. Expected true was false. I don't like that. I really don't. Because I eyeballed it, and it looked the same to me. But you know what? That's okay, because I realized that the thing I was pessimistic about before is probably true. We probably hit the next thing that needs to be checked. Let's move that over. Okay. So there's this. So D1K, that's a layer, and I said does layer 1 equal layer 2 basically, but I never overrode equals, so I'm suspecting that's my next stop. So let's go to layer. Oh, I guess while I'm at it. Okay, I can handle this too. Does not override object get hash code. Let's use. What are you? Visual Studio. What are you doing? Pick members to be used and equals get hash code. I can guess that it's not displaying anything for me. This is like a black font they decided to use, which is pretty edgy. I'm guessing that it's showing me calls, rows, and layers. I'm going to click that, see if it highlights anything. No? No? Okay, calls, rows, layers. Because I do have 3 things here, and it did give me 3 checkboxes. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to use this little tool to generate a get hash code implementation. I'll see what it does. I'm very curious. Did it do anything? Probably put it at the end? Yeah, there we go. I was right. Calls, rows, equality comparer, dictionary, and I think I'm okay with that. The one mysterious part is this here. To me, I don't know. Made this like this grand statement that I'm never going to let any code enter my precious little fortress here that I don't understand. But you know what? Just for a little bit, so I don't go off on a sweater thread, I think it's okay. I'm going to put it here. And then just to act like I'm real stringent, I'm gonna add a to do. Is this right? Because I guess I want a proper implementation of get hash code. I'm not sure about the ramifications right at the moment if I got it wrong, but yeah, sure. Okay, so let's move on. You should be taken care of. I'm no longer worried about you. We're going to do the same implementation of equals, but it's going to be on layer. Okay. Now it's complaining I haven't returned anything yet. That's fine. And I know that it's all about this here. That's all I'm checking. So let's call layer against equals layer of. It's not a very good comparison, I suppose, because if it was the wrong type, it would throw an exception. I don't know. So like, you know, I really should add that. I should. Okay, so here let's just get all the things that need to be implemented. Correct equals implementation. Proper equals implementation. Correct way to override equals and get hash code. Okay. You can override equals. Okay. If item equals null, return false. That makes sense, because if you passed in null, it would never be equal to the instance of the thing that you are inside of. So they don't do a cast here. I mean, let's see. Var item ob is okay. Feels a little better going off to an official site made by experts in what they're talking about. Alright, so this makes more sense to me. Checking if the object is null, comparing the types. You'd want one type to be the same as the next. The code as I had it would throw an exception if that cast failed, which is not a proper implementation. Okay, let me just take this over. If you're gonna do it right. No, or not. This get type equals object get type. Return false. Fine. That's fine. Okay. So here, I don't expect any exceptions because I know they're the same type. Okay. One other hobgoblin to go fix while it's on my mind. Because we have another equals underneath. And I want it to be a proper implementation. Let's just add the same thing right here. Okay, I'm just going to single line it. To me, it's like boilerplate almost. It's not even like the real meat of the function that I want to implement. So let's just single line it. Okay, so now let's actually check some shit. So squares. It is an array. Against squares. Okay. So if against squares equals null. Return squares. No, that's right. Okay, return squares equals null. You have to forgive me for doing the curly braces, even for the single line thing. It's a convention that I have to use in JavaScript coding. Instead of switching conventions, they're basically compatible, but maybe it's not as popular over in the C# side. I just carry it across. Makes my day job easier. Same thing for these braces on the same line. In C# land, people are always doing that. That's fine. But work, we've got this convention. I don't want to be messing myself up if I have to follow that convention at work. Okay, so then next thing. So I basically wanted to check for the case where squares just wasn't initialized at all. And if it's not initialized, I'm still saying these are equal as long as they're not initialized in both places. Next thing I want to check is the dimensions of the array. Are the dimensions of the array equal to each other? And one thing I've never done in C# is check the dimensions of a multi-dimensional array. So I know I could do squares length. I think that might return like one of the counts, like maybe for the first dimension. Is there something like, I saw something like get length. That looks potentially, yeah, I think I guessed onto it. So I am guaranteed that it will have two dimensions. So let's just check if squares get length. Let's follow the convention of going against first. Against squares get length 0. Not equal. Not equal squares get length 0, or get length 1 not equals blah blah blah. Okay, then what will I do? I'll return false, because those have no chance of being equal if the dimensions aren't the same. Alright, so then there's a comparison of the contents, the content of each square in this layer. That's not so hard. But since I'm going to, yeah, let's do like let's do int against calls equals length 0, against rows equals get length 1, and then we can swap that out here. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to use that value another time, and I don't have to want to retrieve it again. So far that's not bad. So then let's just do an old school int r equals 0, r less than against rows. See, now I'm going a little bit faster because now I'm clearly in the Eric has done this 10 million times before territory. So this is nothing here. Okay, so then I want the piece, and now it gets a little bit tricky again. I'll tell you why in a second. Against piece equals against squares CR. Okay, and then the other piece I want to check against is squares CR. Both of these are nullable. It's okay for them to be null. But we'll end up having to make even another equals check for piece. That'll be fine too. Yeah. Okay, if not piece. Now, keep the convention of doing against first. Against piece equals piece return false. So basically, I don't want to check all of these. As soon as I see one that is not matching, I'm going to return false. Now, if I make it all the way through to the end, I've checked every square for equality, then I return true. So what does this give me? What does this give me? It may seem kind of irritating to somebody who's a little impatient. I'm not even working on the serialization at this point. I'm only working on code that verifies the serialization has worked correctly. But that's important too. And also, I prefer to do this with unit tests as opposed to just hitting run and seeing what bugs pop up later on. The trouble with just kind of pushing ahead and not checking with tests is that the bugs will be much more costly to fix. They'll take you longer. If you wait for them to surface as your little guy accidentally or unexpectedly walks through a wall, and you go, what? Why do you do that? Okay, I'll debug that. And then it ends up taking you deep into this code that you haven't looked at for 3 months, and you are feeling very tired and demoralized to have to come back to this code and check it again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this code for maybe a week tops, and I'll never look at it again. I say that so 100%. I'll probably look at it again, but it won't be for hours and hours and hours. It'll be for minutes. You know, there'll be some little thing maybe. Maybe I'm wrong about that too, but that is my prediction. I'm going to get it all right up front, and I won't look back. All right, so equals. It's going to also complain about the same thing, that I didn't override the get hash code. And I'm going to try their generator again, which this time it's going to show me the actual thing that I'm selecting. Maybe you can't even read that. That's really tiny, but basically there's a dialogue that was offering me some options, and it just simply didn't show anything for each option. So I had to guess what the options actually were, and I clicked check boxes next to empty space. Okay, so again, our friend the equality comparer, and I don't know how, if it's to do. Does this work correctly? I'm going to come back to it. I don't need another sweater thread. I already got enough of those. Sweater thread, you pull it and the whole sweater falls apart. Okay. So my thought is that the next place it's going to complain about, I'm not even going to run the test again, is this piece guy here. Actually, I will run the test again. My thinking is this. But so if my thinking is, right now that test case is testing for when we set piece to a null value, and it reminded me I actually do need to check for that case here. If piece equals null, If piece is null, I want against piece to be null as well. If not equals null, then we're fucked. We're fucked. It's not. Well, we're not fucked. I should be more neutral. It just means that something's not equal. That's all. Okay. So now my logic. If the piece is null, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Just as long as the against piece is also null, can return false. Now, if we do have piece, this could throw an exception though. So if I reverse these, then in the case where against piece is null, I'll be protected from throwing an exception below. So this is a little bit better for that. It's a lot better for that. It's 100% better for that. So in the case where piece is not null, no, against piece is not null, I will check for equality against piece. This probably needs an override again, another override just like this one. But I don't need to make that yet because my current test case does not set a piece, it sets null. So I'm saving that. I'm building that. Building. Okay, and then the build was successful. Come back to Unity. Hang out while Unity decides, yes, I will update the tests. So, you know, I think this is a thing Unity could improve on. There's a wonderful, actually not so wonderful IDE over here. It has promise, but it's not great. Are you sure you don't just want to make your own IDE? Like, you could have it so well integrated with the overall Unity stuff. Like, it would be wondrous. It would be fast. Things need to be fast, you know? You're just multiplying all my wasted time with this stuff. You know, I say that, and I think there are some other compilers and solutions out there that I should look at. I just... So I'm making like a really ignorant rant. But that ignorant rant was in itself caused by me having to wait for some build to happen. So again, I get to blame it on Unity and or Microsoft. Okay, I already know the serialization works. I already know deserialization works. It's a comparison. Okay. It is the same type. All that's good. Okay, drill down into layers equals. Okay, and then this equals here. Why don't I set a breakpoint? Because this is a fair amount of new code. Let's take a look. All right. So if I go, yeah, I'm in my function. Okay, and the types match. And against squares, I don't think it'll be null. No, of course it's not null. I do need to do another test where I set these lengths to something different from each other for it to be a good test. Right now they're both 1. Against calls will be 1. Against rows will be 1. See how I'm like pre-asserting? Okay, so if these don't match, I'm going to return false, but they do match. They do match. Iterate through our 1 row, iterate through our 1 column, get our null piece at CR. Give me a null. I want null. Yep, it's null. Okay, the other one should also be null. Is it null? Yes, it is. Okay, so it's going to go in the first if. It's going to return false. They're both null. No, I mean it's going to return true. No, it's not going to return anything. It's going to keep going. Because if the piece wasn't null, that would have been the don't match condition. Okay, but now we're done going through the column. We're done going to the rows. We've returned. Not yet. We haven't returned yet. Okay, you gotta go up to the top, go back down to the bottom. Now we're returning true. That's a match. Good. Good, good, good. And I'm just gonna hit play. and this should be a successful test pass. I'm going to see that little thing down at the bottom jump up at me. Maybe not. Oh, there it is. Every time I give up, right when I give up, it jumps up. Okay, there's the green check mark. Beautiful. So let's do just one more simple change to this test. Let's give it a number of columns and rows, and let's set something in the middle. Oops, that would have been out of bounds. There. Okay, serialize. I'll call this serialize with. Yeah, there's a sad thing. There's a sad thing. The default value is null already, so it doesn't really matter too much where I set this. But it does cause the creation of a layer to be added to the dictionary, so it's still legit. But let me not put 3.1 there because that makes it seem like 3.1 is special. I'll just leave a note to myself. Note, all the squares will be null. Okay. But I do have like a different set of columns and rows there. So I don't need to run that again. I'm like fairly confident about it. I made some changes to it to make the test more valuable, but I don't need to I don't need to run it again right now. That would just be like way too slow and plodding. So let's create a piece to put on the board, or the layer set, which is a part of the board. Player piece equals new player piece. Okay, column. Now let's do 3.1. Height 50. Transform can be null. Okay, layer set, instead of setting it to null, which is like the empty value, we set it to player piece. This is saying our player piece is going to be here. Now, it may seem a little bit silly to set them both places. There's a reason for that. It's not interesting, so I won't go into it. Hey, so this test is probably correctly written. Other things may fail. I'm going to try to get ahead of it a little bit if I can, instead of waiting for it to fail. So the question is, in piece, what do we need for equals? So my feeling is that it's going to be an overridable. So this polymorphism going on here. So piece is a base class. Subtract, we expect things to derive from it. And most recently it's been player piece. Player piece derives from piece. These are just interfaces. You kind of don't have to worry about them. So I think there needs to be a base method, which is overridable. So that means public virtual. Should I make it protected? Yeah, let's make it protected. Actually, no. No, let's not make it protected. Let's make it public. Public virtual. Wait a minute. It's already virtual. So just override it. Okay. And it can still be overridden again. Equals that. Yeah, that. Okay. No, I'm not just going to call base because I'm pretty sure the base implementation just checks the instances to see if the instances are the same, like they're pointing to the same place in memory. So what are the things that we always have inside of here that need to be looked at. So public enum, that's not like a value holding type. The statics we know aren't, I mean, these are not going to be part of the data that's serialized or needed for comparison. Call row height, those should all be the same. Is alive, is stunned, transform. Now this is a tricky one. That's a tricky one. Because I don't, if I just compare the instance and it's either the same instance or not, that probably is the correct thing to put inside of here. It's not like I'm doing a value comparison of transform. Hey, this is also one of the criticisms let me not go off onto that. Okay. So again, we're going to cast object to against. Okay. We'll say, no, I want to add my little bit of boilerplate in again. Layer set. Okay. Oh yeah, so then we say if against call not equal call, or against rows is not equal to the row we expected, or the height against height is not equal to the height we expected. I have to say height, always that way. All right. Or against is alive, not equal to is alive. Both things need to be either alive or dead. Against is stunned is not equal to is stunned, or against. This is a little bit okay. This is a little bit repetitive. I freely admit that. Just for now, I'm gonna come to the end of that and say return false. There's always a nice way to write this so it's just one return statement, but I don't know. Sometimes it's kind of simple for me to do it this way. I can add back some more things into here too. So let's say transform. What do I want to do with transform? So transform, I don't want to do like a by value comparison of. And that may be like a not proper way to write this, but I kind of don't care, because the ramifications are like the code will work as I expect it to. Okay, but it would be nice to check the instance. So in C#, how to check two instances are the same. Yeah, that I just want the syntax for that. Reference equals, that sounds promising. So equals test for data equality, which is just what I was talking about. You would expect it to kind of carry out that whole standard in every member of the object that you're comparing. So I plan to violate it, which I guess is somewhat rebellious. Reference equals, test whether or not two objects are the same instance and cannot be overridden. Oh, why am I getting information from the guy answering the question? Asking the question. I want the answer. Interesting. True. 01, 02. False, sure. 02, 01, false, sure. 02, 02, true. Okay, makes sense. Okay, so that gave me the gist of it. I really think I want reference equals. Actually, let's go over to here. That might be the authoritative. Okay, no, okay. C# reference equals. Because it's one thing, like a pattern I use a lot of times for searching for things is I go to the thriving community of people asking real questions to figure out the generally accepted answer to my question. And then once they've given me enough keywords to look things up on like the proper source of authority, then I go there and I double check. Okay, reference equals. Okay, so object. Okay. Okay, this is what I want. This is what I want. Since I'm already here, let me just check equals to equal. Does it say anything about the protocol for checking members? Okay, value equality. Breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law. Okay. So I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do it. If not reference equals against transform no, but it's got to be against transform reference equals transform. Return false. I didn't get it right. I thought transform would be, oh, it's got to be an object. That's all. I think it's got to be cast to an object. Okay, what am I missing? Okay, is it defined? So it's a static method of object. So I was just expecting it to be part of transform, but that's incorrect. So if not against transform, transform, will that work? Okay, probably need a using. System object. Okay, so that seems okay to me. You think so? Simplify name system object. I kind of don't like that because So it's simplified. It's simplified system uppercase object to lowercase object, which to me would be like a different declaration. Now it's given me an option to simplify further. So I could have just the whole time called reference equals. I think the point it's making is that my class piece here derives from object, so therefore should have access to the static method reference equals. So I don't need to explicitly say object here. I can call the one that I just get from this this instance. Okay, whatever. Okay, and leave a note here. Not departing from value equality. Because why do I care? Okay, so the last thing to check is edges. And edges is a struct. So it's my assertion. Since edges is a struct, that it must have some built-in value by value checking against edges not equals edges. So what I mean is, like, instead of it checking the instances as it would if it were a class instance here, but I'm wrong. So I can like write an operator equals thing, but let me see what is actually in edges. I think it's just for all right, recurse. Okay, if not against edges equals, so now I gotta write another equals for edges apparently. Edges. Okay, and now I actually am saying that this works pretty well as one big return statement. So let's just do that. Let's return. And all these have to be kind of like flipped. So instead of not equal, it's equals. Instead of or, it's and. Repeat. Why do I do all these little things? So two ways of looking at it. One is I'm just being like kind of persnickety. Like it doesn't really matter, and I'm making a mistake. Like I'm just doing like kind of an OCD type thing where I get this into a certain form that appeals to me, but it doesn't really matter. I could have moved on a long time ago. But there's a more charitable view, which is if you have some consistency in how you put your code together, it's going to be easier for you to make sense of it later. You're less likely to introduce bugs when you follow certain patterns. It's fairly arbitrary how I put that together. And then there is an argument that this is more concise. It's more easy for anybody to read, not just me. So that's why I took a few extra seconds there. So next edges equals. Edges equals. So let's go to edges. I'm just curious if like the default implementation of equals for edges won't carry this, because it's a struct. And we've got just some bools here, and I know it's all laid out in memory contiguously, because that's how structs work. There's no value references. So I'm just going to bet on it working. And I think my unit tests will prove me wrong if that's not the case. At some point they will. Let's save that. Let's see, it's complaining up here about the hash code again. So let's make our default get hash code. Oh man. So now it's doing the black, won't show you the names of the thing that you're picking thing when I try to implement it. But unlike before, it's not showing me a count of members that would make sense. So I don't know if I can use that. Let me save that. I'm going to try it one more time because I'm curious just what it thinks it's doing. Generate get hash code. Oh, look, if I mouse over, secret options appear. It's a wonderful IDE. Visual Studio Community Fucked Up Edition. If I get the real... Oh, look! It showed me one of them right at the end. There's all these little secrets that'll be revealed in the UI as you do different things. It's like a little puzzle to figure out how to use it. Okay, yeah, so if I get the real version of this, do all these things go away? Is that what's going on? Am I just being held ransom? Like, I don't mind paying for an IDE, but I wouldn't want to pay for one when I'm not happy with the free version, when it shows like really basic problems. Like I would not predict that like the paid for version would be better as far as fixing bugs. And if it were, then I would just on principle not want to buy the damn thing, because that would be a really shitty way to treat your potential customers, your prospects, people that are going free for a while until they're willing to pay or have the funds for it. Okay, now this, I'm getting on the right to-dos here, but this one, like, it really makes me think, would this work? You're gonna get a hash code for, you're gonna, I don't know. I don't know. I should get out of my position of ignorance on that. But okay, so I've gone pretty deep into the rabbit's hole here. I've implemented equality for piece. There's one more that I need to do maybe, which is equality for player piece. And that's an override. Thankfully, it should be much simpler. Especially now that I have a base method in piece that I can call for equals. So let's copy this, head over to player piece, so override equals. I forget the syntax for calling the base method. Is it base? Base, like that, base equals. Oh, so now do if base doesn't equal the obj, then we're not going to check anything else or return false. But then I have to continue. I have to check the things that are specific. They're specific to the player piece. Jesus. So whenever I see a reference, that's when I think, this just makes me have to go in deeper. I thought it was going to be easy. It probably will be easy. I think I'm getting close to the end of like all the recursion on this particular use case. It's only 720. If I get to the end of this, if I ate, oh, that would be magical. Okay, let's see what we can do. Egg piece. The egg is the place where the player is born when he dies. He or she dies. Against egg piece equals. Oh yeah, we gotta do the. We gotta do that little bit of boilerplate piece. Kind of nice. I can just kind of copy it over. But whenever I can so easily copy something over, it does make me think there should be something in the syntax where I can just say return false automatically if shit's not the right type. Okay. Do egg piece against egg piece. So first, before I do that, I have to say player piece against player piece equals player piece. Obj. Gotta do our cast, which is pretty much guaranteed to work there. Okay, against egg piece. I don't need to do that. I don't think I do. No. Okay. So there we do, and we'll be done with this pretty quick. And move on to the birth egg. We do against player piece birth egg piece equals boom. Birth egg piece, and that's it. That's it for this equals, I believe. And then it'll do the. I'm just kind of waiting for it to complain about the hash code. Here, I'll do the save. Whenever you see these little light bulbs, it means your code could be slightly better. In this case, it's saying I don't have to type this. I can just do git type, it says. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, now I'm just waiting. Yep. There it is. You want to generate a hash code for me. And I think I've done enough of these now. I'm not going to keep adding like an explanation of this. So I'll just add a to-do there to come back to that. Make sure it's correct. Okay. Done with that. Move on to birth egg. And I am going to, at some point, need to go through all these pieces and add a equals to each one. I know, that sounds extremely tedious. I might do that. Not on a session, because it's just like so hard to even justify. I might do it with some good music playing. Okay. It doesn't matter where I put it. There. Take our new boilerplate. That's the problem with boilerplate. I actually made an improvement to one of them, but I didn't improve all the other places. So suddenly, I've got two different versions of it. But it doesn't quite seem like enough code that's worth encapsulating in like a common function. It would actually make it harder for me to read that code and understand what it did. Okay, equals egg piece. Okay, what are the things that make up egg piece? Well, again, it's a piece. It is a piece. So I can call, see, egg piece also derives from piece. So I can call the base, like I did for player piece. Why did I close player piece? Let me bring up player. Yeah, close some of these guys. It's getting crazy. Bam, bam. You get too many tabs. It's hard to know what's going on. Board heights, square heights, heights test, layer set test, test util. Don't need test util yet for a while. Okay, piece, and let's bring back up player piece. Okay, player piece, you called the base equals, and that's what I'm going to do for egg piece as well. And then I'm going to do my cast underneath. It's getting to be like a factory here. Just at the assembly line, just cranking these out. Equals. Okay. And this is against egg piece. Okay, so the things the egg piece has. The birth queue, god damn it, another complex type. Maybe it's got serialization built in. Last birth direction. Exit deltas. Oh, it's a read-only one. Does that matter? It's static, though. It's static. Cool. Anything static I can ignore. Alright. I'm not too bad about getting all my data declarations at the top, so I know I don't need to scroll down to find more. So it's these two things. Tell me Q is just easily comparable and serializable. Okay. It's all spider threads, this type of project. Well, let me do the easy one first. If against last birth, okay, against, I guess I don't need to give it a big giant name each time. I could just call it against. Against last birth direction equals, no, not equals, last birth direction, turn false. Okay. Now, Q's. I'm just gonna do a real quick check. C# is Q serializable. C# compare to Q's for equality. I don't know. What happens if I just do this? What if I do return against birth Q equals against let's see, birth Q. Seems like I could really screw that up. So I'm just thinking about problems that my test might not catch. I think I'm doing okay. I think it's okay. So if the equals, yeah, it's that same principle I found earlier, which is if whatever the thing is, if it implemented equals in a shallow way, it will fail. So if I give it two things that are equal by value and it's incapable of comparing them, it's going to fail even when it shouldn't, and that will show up in my unit test, and I'll know that I can't be so cavalier and expect for this to succeed. Okay, so now I have defined everything for, boy, so much coding I did there. I think I've defined everything for checking the quality of a layer set in which a piece has been set. But man, does that go deep? Okay, so I guess it's not that deep. We're gonna get deeper before it's over. But let's build. Probably something will fail. I just typed in, 50 lines of code or so. So probably something's gonna fail. A little syntax error. No, the build worked. So I am going to let everything run through without a breakpoint until I get to the quality check. My next prediction is that I will succeed in getting to this line, but I think that something down equals is not going to be right yet. So let us try it. Do I have a building for debug? No, it's debugging. Good. Okay. There's a spinny. Okay. Yeah, I changed this other one. Let's make sure it still passes. I think it'll work. I didn't change it significantly. You would think I was really executing a lot of code right there. Okay, it should come up in the debugger. It's the thing. There's all these moments where it has to like do something else that takes a long time, and I'm like, okay, you built inside of Visual Studio. You did some other kind of build thing inside of Unity. I hit play at that point. I did all this waiting, like it should just be instant. But then there's something else that has to happen when I hit the test runner play. Okay, so the breakpoint didn't even get hit. So let's set it up higher and just try it again. Okay, so that means that my prediction was incorrect. Something else before the equality comparison blew up. I don't think it'll be the player piece. No. I don't think it'll be setting the player piece. That's also true. Here's where I think it's going to fail. I think there's something that wasn't serializable. I'm almost certain that's it. Yeah, let's head over to Unity when it's ready. And it's going to say player piece is not serializable. That's fine. I'm good with that. Totally good with that. I already said that piece was serializable. let's see, what am I missing? So like, okay, how did I do it over here? No, that's how I did it. Okay, so it must be something else. Is it system? Is that what it was? In system. That was it. Okay. And so I've got birth egg piece there. Let's move that up to here. Okay. So that's fine. It does seem to potentially need egg piece to be serializable. So not wait for it to complain if I know it's probably almost certainly going to ask me for that. And I do have questions about whether Q will get serialized correctly, but my unit tests are going to answer that. Now, okay, yeah, let's do the friggin' hashtag. Generate get hash code. Discover the secret methods which are available. Generate. Grab the get hash code from the end. Put it next to equals. Change the braces to the way I like, and I might look into this on my lunch break tomorrow. Okay, so that should do all that. Build everything again. Man, that takes forever. Oh my God. Like, I think it's trying to build every single thing, even though I just changed some of it. Maybe, maybe if I think about it, I should just say, build Godkiller. Huh. So I resave one file, say build Godkiller. Still taking a while. Where is the incremental build, or just build but changed? Where is that? Because I didn't even change the file. I just put a space, deleted the space, hit save, did build, and then it seems to do what's a full build. If it's not a full build, it's really friggin' slow to compile one file. Okay, serialize. Okay, let's do it. How confident am I that it will serialize? Now that I've marked two things serializable, I am 61%. Oh, what? And then we wait for Unity to slowly complain something's wrong, and then it hits break. I know Jonathan Blow is taking the time to write his whole compiler from scratch and game engine from scratch. It's because of shit like this. For real. Like, it seemed like a crazy thing for him to do But again, I know there must be people that have like a correctly optimal setup where they're not spinning, waiting for little bits of the system to update. But I mean, it should be good out of the box. It should be semi-optimal out of the box. Maybe there is a clever way to get it to work awesome, like a champ. But out of the box, you should not have a 2-minute wait to change a few lines of code inside of a unit test and rerun it. It's just ridiculous. Oh my God. Okay. Oh, and then I forgot what I was doing because I was busy ranting. I don't want to run the whole thing again because it's just going to do the same thing. It'll take me forever. Here, let's do this. Stop debugging. Go back to Unity. Waiting for Unity now. See, watch this. I'm all tabbing to Unity. Unity. There you are. There you are. Okay. Okay, transform is not marked as serializable. That kind of makes sense, you know? So, here's what I need. Here's what I need. I need a way to either represent a null value for transform, or to just mark transform as not being part of serialization. Like I want to tell the serializer, don't you worry about transform. It's not something I care about. And that is true for my own purposes. All the serialization here is on everything else except for transform inside of this structure. So just a little explanation. The board is like a pure model. With one exception, it does not have any references to anything view specific in it. And the one exception is the transform here. Now inside of all the logic code, transform is treated opaquely. But because it's efficient to link this bit of view data with the same logical object, like a piece that it corresponds to, the best place for me to put this is in with that pure model object, the piece. So every piece has a transform, but inside the game logic code, transform is ignored. There's probably like a nice C# way to make this kind of like an opaque data type, but I haven't learned what that is. I know how I used to do it in C and C++, but it's just kind of an off-limits value inside of there. And so when I'm serializing, I don't actually care about it. So it's fine for me to omit it from serialization. So how C# exclude member from serialization. They're saying some XML stuff I don't like, because my thing has nothing to do with XML. Depends on serialization type. Here's a full example for doing this for binary formatter. I think this might be it. Non-serialized. So let me do another search. Again, this is my method. First, I get like from the hoi polloi out there, I get the keyword and the concept, and then I go to the official docs. What does it actually mean? Yeah, this is almost certainly what I want. I'm just going to read a little bit further. Alright, I think that's it. Pretty damn sure that's it. So, see, I use it non-serialized, see, capitalize N and S. Thank you, Sergey. As though you're listening to this, you are not. It's a good sign when you add something in and it's already not a syntax error. So let's try that. Save, build. This time we'll just head over to Unity. Maybe if I just come over here early, it'll pick it up faster. I do got a spinning over here. That part's good. Okay, that completed there. That might be a way to do it. That might be a way to make it go faster. Okay, so run that. I thought I set a break. Oh, maybe I stopped debugging. Yeah, I stopped debugging. Okay. So let's just see what it does. Okay. Did it fail? Yeah, it failed. Type Godkiller edges. Blah, blah, blah. Is not marked as serializable. No problem, no problem, no problem. Okay. Easy. I know how to fix that. Edges went with this. Okay, so then I need to go to edges. I need to say edges. This kind of begs the question. Why don't I just go through and peremptorily mark every structure class I know might need to be serialized with serializable? The answer is I'm not sure. I don't have that confidence to just run off and do that. I think there might be a good reason not to. Or a good reason to kind of keep track as you go that each thing is actually serializable, and that's when you do it. But I could be wasting a lot of time. I'm going to go another 10 minutes on this, but it would be pretty cool if I got this test to pass. I might go even longer if I have to, if I'm really close. So let's run it. Fail. Object reference is not set to an instance of an object, and that's happening inside of player piece equals player piece 25. Okay, let's check that out. Okay. Well, it is kind of nice that this method got called, because that means that in that comparison of all the squares, when it actually got to the player piece that was set, called the equals method of it, and it is complaining about birth egg piece being null. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good error for me to get, because I understand it. So it's valid for the birth egg piece to be set to null. It just means the player has not been born yet, or the player has not died and had a birth egg assigned to the player. Okay, equals null. then so I just need a special case for a null. So in this case, I would say that if it's null, then I want it to be null in both places. Return birth egg piece equals null. That should do it. That should get me a little further along. It is probably the right time to stop going through the debugger for everything. I'm actually, the error messages I'm getting are clear enough that it's pretty easy to fix them. I don't think I'm missing too much by not going through the debugger right now. Oh, except did I hit the play button like an idiot? God dang it. This is why, this is one of the reasons why 8 o'clock is about my limit. Because I went to work, I got there at 8 a.m. and I did some thinking there. I did a little bit of work. Taxed my gray matter a bit, and then I came home and I did some more thinking. It was a different kind of thinking, but still, wears you down after a little bit. All right. Look at that green check mark. Now it's 7:51, and I think to declare a proper victory, I do need to walk through it just one time. I just want to see it. Call it a victory lap. So let's go to layer set test. Oh, also, I just saw something I can fix. I don't. And that's grayed out. It means that using is not used. Okay, so do that. Layer set test. And breakpoint is set. And let's build Godkiller. And let's start debugging. Oh, is it safe to start debugging in the middle of a build? Let's try it. I never know with Visual Studio. Okay, it worked. It even started debugging. So now, wait for the spinny. Wait for the spinny. Okay, I think maybe. Alright, so now, okay. What is it? Player piece. In fact, I'm not going to do the walk through all the quality check. I'm just going to visually inspect the two layer sets. 5 and 2 layers. There should just be 1, 0, 50, and then I'll want to go down to the third row, first column, and you have Godkiller player piece. Okay, and then let's see, edges should all be false. Non-public members, birth egg piece is null. Okay, so that's the original. Here is the Jeff Goldblum. 5 and 2, layers 1. First one, key 50, that's the height 50. Value, squares, I'm going to go down to the third column and check row 1. It is a player piece. By the way, this is proven pretty well that no matter what it has been said on the internet, at least in Unity, with everything I'm using, dictionary is serializable. So I don't know what all these workarounds were for, because I serialized and deserialized a pretty complex object that was in the dictionary. Oh wait, that's a horrible thought. what if they're just references? What if my player piece here is the same instance? What if the squares are the same instance? Okay, so what I'm going to do right after I finish looking at this, yeah, okay, that's good. What I'm going to do, I hit play, I know that test will pass. I will do an extra test to make sure that it's not the same instance. I just want to know that it's a fully separate copy of the values, a different instance. The values are the same, but the instance is different. So to do that, I'm going to compare, let's see, reference equals, I'm going to assert is false, reference equals, we'll say layer set, let's just do a bunch of them. I can do layer set 2. You know, this is like a big enough test. It's kind of worth just putting in its own, just to keep it separate. So we'll take that out. A lot of more declarative syntax here. If I didn't have to use the name of the test to specify what it was, I would name it in that Jasmine style that I like, which is there's an object and you say what it does, what is expected. Okay, so let's see. Serialize with Serialize has unique instances. I mean, I can kind of do that with this, but it'd be better if there was like a string field I could specify it in. And technically, it's the deserialize that produces the instances, so I'll call it that. Okay. So layer set and layer set 2. That one would really be surprised if those were equal, but let's just keep going down. Layer set, what else? Okay, so I'm not going to go through the whole hierarchy because that would get into private structures not available. But what I can do is I can say get the piece at 3150 in layer set 1, get the piece at 3150 in layer set 2. Both of these return a piece, and if this runs successfully, it means I didn't do some cheapy bullshit serialize, deserialize. It actually made a full copy as expected. So let's save that. Oh, my voice is cracking. That's another reason to end this at 8 o'clock. Man, what would happen if I actually did a properly long stream? Alright, so this one is going to be easy to see when it's done because it'll give me a new one. And I'll just run it. Come on, baby. That's it. That is the proper victory. 1 minute left on the clock. I'm going for one more victory. Run all of my unit tests successfully that I've created so far inside of layer set. meaning I didn't like accidentally break something as I was going. Okay. Oh, it's still 7:59. Okay, gonna run all the unit tests in the whole damn thing. Door test failed at 8 o'clock. Oh man. Oh man. It's like I was playing like blackjack and I said, hit me, hit me, hit me. And I just busted there. But that's okay. That's okay. I'll dig into that later. So I've got 2 tests that stopped working for some reason. I don't think it had anything to do with what I worked on this week in here. I think it's something else. But that's what unit tests are for. To find the little mistakes you made when you're not paying attention. And this is actually a pretty great time to stop. If anybody watched this, I appreciate it, particularly in the archives where this is going to pop up. And if you are watching this in the archive, and you're thinking this is great, but I really would have liked to see some more people here and have it be like kind of a proper lively stream, hey, I'm working on it. But also, you come by Sunday, 3 p.m. Godkiller Gamedev Sundays is what I call it, and things should be a little more hopping. That one I actually do some proper promo. I try to get people from the Drod community to show up, and they're good sports about doing that. And then, you might be watching this movie 10,000 years in the future and wonder if Godkiller Gameplay Sundays is still going on. Just go to the Twitch channel of mine, if Twitch still exists 10,000 years from now. Go to Twitch TV, Eric H2000, and see what events are planned. Or, don't do any of that stuff. You're a busy person, and frankly, this is all really a waste of time. So, anyways, catch you later. Stop streaming now.